session. So good evening, everyone. I apologize for that disruption. This is, the Zoom bombing that we hear about and have never experienced, but there's always a first time. I'm going to ask Rima, who's our tech host, to mute everyone. And as in when we invite people to come up and speak, we will unmute so that there's less disruption. We are recording this session. So my name is Elsa Marie De Silva, and I'm your host this evening. If you wish to speak, you can always raise your hand or use the chat section. You can see everyone. We will be spotlighting the speaker, but you can view it in gallery mode, and the button for that is in the top right-hand corner. We also might have, we already have more than 25 participants. So, you can go to the second screen using the little button in the middle on the right-hand side. So without further ado, I want to say welcome to the book launch of On and Off the Bench by Justice Aloysius S. Agyar. Justice Agyar was appointed judge of the Bombay City Civil and Sessions Court in 1987 and later judge of the Bombay High Court. And this book, On and Off the Bench, is a narration of the experiences and events that transpired during the 2 decades of his judicial career. Many of those cases were sensitive and important, both civil and criminal. One interesting case was the prosecution of an aircraft technician by the CBI for attempting to sabotage the aircraft of the then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. There are other intriguing chapters. One is on the Mumbai police encounter killings, another is a case of the headless cop, late night swearing in, and more. And I'm sure you will find it interesting and pick up a copy to know more. And we will be putting the link of the book in the chat section. So without further ado, I would like to invite Justice Agyar to share about his book.
Thank you, Elsa. Good evening and a very warm welcome to all our guests who are joining us in the launch of this book, On and Off the Bench. We specially welcome our honored guests, His Eminence Oswald Cardinal Gracious, His Lordship Justice S.N. Variava, His Lordship Justice A.P. Shah. The three of them will release the book simultaneously. This book has been a long time in the making, approximately 35 years. The book is a narrative of my experiences and of the events that transpired during the 2 decades of my judicial career as a judge of the City Civil and Sessions Court, and later as a judge of the Bombay High Court. The book is also a random collection of my writings, articles, speeches, and talks, all delivered after I was appointed judge in 1987, and even after my retirement as a judge of the Bombay High Court in 2005, till the recent past. The book thus covers a period of 35 years. After I received confirmation from the publishers that the book had gone into print, sometime in the second week of January, I decided to have the book launched on this Republic Day, a very significant date when we the people gave ourselves a constitution and started governing ourselves in accordance with the sound democratic principles. Though the book contains articles and speeches on a variety of topics ranging from marriage and divorce to end of life and life hereafter concerns, the book is primarily about law and justice. The book has several articles and speeches on law and administration of justice according to the Constitution, which enshrines the rule of law. The rule of law postulates 3 basic principles or tenets. 1, the absence of arbitrary or discretionary powers. 2, equality before the law. And 3, protection of basic human rights. The broad emphasis of the rule of law is on the absence of centers of unlimited or arbitrary power. That is, absence of arbitrariness in the governance of the country. Equality before the law is a concept which pervades the constitutions of all democratic countries. Article 17 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, declares all are equal before the law and are entitled without discrimination to the equal protection of the law. Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, by and large, embodies this protection of the law. There is a fundamental difference between law and the rule of law. While the law, which includes constitutionally guaranteed rights, prevails in normal times, it may be suspended in times of national disturbances. But the rule of law must prevail, notwithstanding the emergent circumstances. This is because the law is not perfect, and it is only the rule of law exercised by an independent judiciary that can ensure justice to an individual against the excesses of state action. During the 2 decades of my judicial service, I had occasion to deal with 2 types of matters where the rule of law has been and continues to be severely tested by state action or inaction. The first refers to the so-called encounter killings by the Mumbai police. The matter was referred to me by the Bombay High Court when I was principal judge of the Bombay City Civil and Sessions Court for a judicial inquiry into the killing of 2 dreaded gangsters. The inquiry was ordered as a test case in the backdrop of a spate of killings at that time by the Mumbai police in what was alleged to be fake encounters. On the basis of uncontroverted forensic evidence, I held that the encounters were not genuine. My report was placed before another bench of the High Court, which in its wisdom rejected my report, but gave the police a set of guidelines for future encounters. Not surprisingly, police encounter killings have continued to occur regularly and with impunity. The other matter pertains to the governor's discretionary power under Article 174(2)(b) of the Constitution. The petition came up before me when I was presiding at the Panaji bench of the Bombay High Court. In my order judgment, setting aside the governor's order dissolving the Goa Assembly, I held that the orders passed in exercise of the discretion vested in the governor under Article 174(2)(b) of the Constitution, in the absence of material, relevant or otherwise, suffered from legal mala fides. My brother judge on the bench delivered a dissenting judgment, holding that the advice of the Council of Ministers itself was the material enabling the governor to exercise his discretion. In other words, the governor could not reject the advice. So what happened to the governor's discretion? To end, I must state by emphasizing that every democratically elected government will be judged on the touchstone of its commitment and adherence to the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Agyar, and congratulations on your book. I think from what you've just told us, this is a very important book that captures the history and important legal judgments and has helped shape the country. And today is Republic Day, so it's a very momentous occasion. So thank you once again for writing this book and sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
Now I have the great pleasure of introducing His Eminence Oswald Cardinal Gracious, Archbishop of Bombay and President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India. His Eminence is a member of various offices of the Roman Curia and a member of the Roman Rota, the Church's highest appellate tribunal. He is also a member of the Congregation for Catholic Education and of the Pontifical Council for Legislative Texts. I now invite His Eminence to deliver the keynote address. And Cardinal, you'll have to unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you very much, Elsa. I am very honored to be here, to associate myself with this program for the launching of Justice Aloysius Aghia's book. I'm also honored to be associated with all the honored guests over here who are here to, as it were, accompany Justice Aloysius Aghia on this important occasion as he launches this book. I've had the privilege and the joy of often meeting Aloysius Aghia, Justice Aloysius Aghia. I had the privilege and joy of also hearing him often. I heard him at different social functions, at academic functions, at also religious functions. And I always felt that even be it a small social function with a few guests, Aloysius always came prepared, not like most of us who come and give an extempore talk on that occasion, hoping that we'll be inspired to say the right things. Aloysius, on the contrary, out of respect to every single person who was there, big or small, came prepared and gave us new insights. And so it was a joy to have him always as a speaker. I recently discovered, and I've been discovering, that he not only is a good speaker, but he also is a good writer. That surprised me very much because I had not read much of his writings before. This book, On and Off the Bench, really will be a revelation to many, many of his friends and admirers and associates, because it really reads like a racy novel. It's interesting, and he's put in almost like writing a mystery novel. You don't know what's going to come next, and that's the way he's written it. That's because of his skill as a writer. This of course is not a novel. It's a collection of his reports of cases, his reflections, some of his speeches, some of his articles. What unites this assorted sort of communications of Justice Aloysius Aghia is law, the legal system. Law is a prescription given by the competent authority for observance by a society, promulgated, etc., fulfilling all the requirements of law. And I've gone through the book and I found it so interesting, and one can read it at one go because it's difficult to put it down. I'm not saying this to flatter him, but the way he has got a style, God has gifted him with this, which enabled him to put this all together and in a very attractive manner. And what does one pick up from the book? Mainly one picks up an appreciation of our legal system, I think. An understanding of the legal system, understanding of the procedures in our courts, but a great appreciation of the legal system. And one understands that much effort, much intelligence, much honesty has gone through over the years as we built up our laws, framed our laws, and worked out. We come into contact with the legal system. We come into contact with the praxis of it. And one realizes also the importance of the legal system, which is good. We inherited from the British first, and then our own very illustrious judges of the higher courts, Supreme Court, our high courts. And we've got to a point where we realize that the legal system is important for our society. Our country is making great progress. Our country is one of the, I would think, one of the leading countries in the world, and it could be even greater country in the world. Aloysius said this in, I think, in an inaugural address when he was beginning his career. He says, law is not an end in itself. How very true, and makes us reflect that law is meant for order. Law is meant for progress of the country. Law is meant for peace. Law is meant for growth of, for the protection of every single individual, and also the protection of the community. Aloysius, when speaking a few minutes ago, spoke of the principles of law. He spoke the necessity of equality of all above for the law. We meet in this book also Justice Aloysius himself, the legal system. We meet law, the legal system, but we meet Justice Aloysius also. And I knew him, as I said, over the years, because both of our careers have been almost parallel. I began in the church, my sort of a legal career, also as a judge of our tribunals and then in administration. And Justice Aloysius began it in the courts. And I discovered more of him after reading the book. A person who is courageous, fearless. I knew he was impeccably honest. I felt that from the first day one, and I had no reason ever to doubt about that. But I saw a courage, fearlessness, and a love for the country and love for people, which Aloysius shows in his reflections, in his decisions. Every judge interprets law, but I realize, and when we reflect, that every interpretation is also really legislation itself. In small ways, every judge of a superior court, when interpreting law, when giving a judgment, no two cases are totally similar. And therefore, at every stage, you are in small ways also legislating. A judge has not to legislate, there are limits to it, but then de facto is also legislation. I realized that in my own career when giving decisions, and I'm sure every judge realizes that when he's giving decisions. The book is, I recommend the book to everybody who's a student of law, lover of the country, wanting to improve the system, to read it, because it gives great insights. What I realize also is what I put at the end of my preface, that we need more Aloysius Agyas, not only because of the law, but because of the country. I want to very sincerely congratulate Aloysius Agya. I want to thank him for, he said it was 35 years in the making. I want to thank him for his efforts. And I hope there will be other, not only Aloysius Agyas, there'll also be other books by Aloysius Agya. Thank you, Justice Aloysius Agya. Congratulations, our affectionate greetings. And I want to say, can I say, without being patronizing, that we are all very proud of you, immensely proud of you. Keep it up. And your contribution to society is not over. Retirement is not a luxury that you can have. Keep it up. Thank you, Aloysius.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cardinal, for those wonderful, encouraging words. And now I'm going to invite Mrs. Roshan Dalvi, former judge of the Bombay High Court, to introduce our guests.
Good evening, friends. I am privileged to have to introduce Justice S.N. Variava and Justice A.P. Shah. And I would like to introduce them, taking their connection with Justice Agyar. Justice Variava started his practice in Bombay. He was a professor in Sydenham College for commercial law. he rose to be the judge of the Bombay High Court, and then of the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, and later of the Supreme Court. He retired as a judge of the Supreme Court and is an arbitrator for the last 18 years. During the time that he was in Bombay, he was in touch with Justice Agyar in one respect.
Roshan, sorry, you went off.
One was as the administrative judge of the Bombay City Civil Court, where Justice Agyar was the principal judge. So Justice Agyar also practiced in Bombay. He's a solicitor from Bombay and from London. He's the only solicitor on the bench after Justice Tulsapurkar. He rose from the Bombay City Civil Court to be the principal judge and then the judge of the Bombay High Court. He was also a professor in New Law College, a visiting professor of law. Now, when Justice Agyar was the principal judge and Justice S.N. Variava was the administrative judge of the court, we had two leadership initiatives which have gone on well until today. I won't call it a matter of administration, but of leadership. We had a melee in the City Civil Court of lawyers getting certain orders in the evening assignment. Justice Agyar, as he then was, had only one judge to deal with it. The judge worked through the years. The melee came to an end. And today my little research has shown that that melee is not in the City Civil Court at all until now. The judge who takes up the matter in the morning takes up the matter in the evening, and therefore no untoward orders are passed or claimed. The other thing is that Justice Variava was the scam court judge. This showed his integrity with the cordiality that we always know. Justice Agyar's integrity was tested when he was appointed by Justice A.P. Shah as the judge taking up inquiries in the encounter case. Now, Justice A.P. Shah has also started as a prolific lawyer in Bombay on the appellate side, rose to be the judge of the Bombay High Court, then became the judge of the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court and then of Delhi High Court. He was thereafter the chairperson of the Law Commission of India, where he has put in his bit in the commercial laws, which has come of age now, and also for children's rights of estranged parents, which has not yet been passed. He has repealed a number of laws which were on the statute book for no reason. And he is now a prolific arbitrator. So this trio consists of Justice Variava, Justice Shah, and Justice Agyar together to take law forward. Justice Shah's famous judgment for homosexuals under Section 377 of the IPC has been clinically examined by Justice Agyar in a short, crisp, precise, concise, and brief lecture, which we read as a law person giving lay persons. This is all the three judges for you and Justice Agyar for his book. All the best, Justice Agyar. I am proud to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Roshan. May I call upon Justice Variava to say a few words?
Yes, okay. His Eminence, the Cardinal Gracious, my brother Judges Shah and Agyar, all other persons present, my sister Roshan Dalvi. It is my pleasure and privilege to be here with you all today for the launch of this book. I have known Justice Agyar for the last over 40 years, ever since he was in the City Civil Court. he has always been a very honest and a good judge. Probably because of the fact that he's also a very religious man. The fact that he's a religious man comes out in this book also. This book shows that not only is he very keen on law, but also very keen on religion. Of course, my sister Roshan Dalvi has said a lot of things about us. Not necessarily, I do not necessarily agree with all of them. But I can only say that I am really happy to be present today and to launch this book. I wish Justice Agyar all the best in his life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Variava.
Thank you, Justice Variava. I now call on Justice A.P. Shah to say a few words.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, Elsa?
Yes, I can.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am honored and delighted to be here today for the launch of Justice Agyar's book, On and Off the Bench, and to be in the company of the author, as well as other familiar names and faces, including Justice Variava and Justice Roshan Dalvi. Justice Agyar, a very soft-spoken person and a wonderful colleague, worked as a judge from 1987 to 2005, first as a city civil and session judge, then as principal judge, and was then elevated to the High Court, where I worked alongside him and where he served with distinction till his retirement in 2005. Besides congratulating him for publishing his book, I wish to thank him for putting this manuscript out, for it is an interesting read and tackles a variety of subjects around his life on the bench. He narrates individual cases where he was a judge and also discusses wide-ranging issues like the rule of law, minority rights, gender issues, prison reforms, as well as some of his speeches and his writings have been included in the book. Hardly any judges speak out or publish after their retirement. Although some recent books have been written, including one by Roshan Dalvi, I think this is a very good and positive trait. There are many myths about the judiciary that need to be dispelled. They say a wise person does not wish to enter the court because the fool will rage and scoff and there is no peace. But this fear about the court is rather misunderstood. As a result, most people miss the humanitarian side of how judges deal with such cases. Insights such as those of Justice Agyar help people understand how courts work. I had the opportunity to read his book in parts and thought I could add a few annotations to two topics he mentions: his speech on Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code and his discussion on the Mumbai police encounter killings. I have been personally concerned with both matters, as some may already know. On the issue of homosexuality and Section 377, as Roshan said, Justice Agyar in a 2009 lecture beautifully analyzed the origin of the law and international developments and various reports on the issue. It is thoroughly research piece, but of course, many events have transpired then. The Nas case, which I was a part of, decriminalized homosexuality, which a Supreme Court judgment unexpectedly recriminalized. Finally, a 5-judge constitutional bench righted it again. The judgment changed the lives of so many people. It also mainstreamed the debate around constitutional morality versus public morality. which had been used in many subsequent judgments since. It has also encouraged a completely new approach to the right to life and liberty under Article 21 and non-discrimination contained in Articles 14 and 15 of the Constitution. The case also prized open the issue of how courts should deal with colonial law, asking important questions such as whether there is a presumption of constitutionality in pre-constitutional laws. The Nalsa transgender judgment also came a little later. Right now, there is a plea for legalizing gay marriages pending in Delhi High Court. Undoubtedly, India is not the same today after these judgments. But it is critical to remember that this is only a gateway for more reforms. Simple political or judicial action in removing a certain law or legal provision or creating a new legislation will not change the quality of life for LGBTQ persons. There must be an attitudinal change in every corner of society. When everyone in India, in cities or villages, in police chowkis or hospitals, truly believes that LGBTQ persons are no different, that they have the same capacity to love, build long-lasting relationships, and be good parents as everyone else, only then will have truly succeeded in achieving the transformation we see. But I do not wish to dwell longer on this, for I have spoken about this many times already. My views on the subject are known to most already. Suffice it to say that I'm very pleased Justice Agyar has included this in his book, because we need more well-reasoned and well-respected voices talking about this issue so that awareness grows. The second matter in Justice Agyar's book I wanted to mention was that of the Mumbai police encounter killings. As I mentioned earlier, I have a personal connection with this matter too. I was on the bench with Justice J.A. Patil when a case came before us in the Bombay High Court. A young 19-year-old called Abu Saima, whom his mother described as a poor street hawker selling peanuts, had been killed in 1997 in an alleged encounter. The police insisted that he was a dreaded criminal and gangster named Javed Fauda. They argued that they were doing their jobs and risking their lives to keep the public safe from this dreaded criminal. The police said that they learned he was coming to the area. They said he opened the fire when he saw the cops. The cops fired back. All bullet injuries were found in his head, heart, or brain. No FIR was filed. The matter was closed. This case came on the heels of a spate of encounter killings by the Mumbai police in 96-97, in which 135 people were killed. Unsatisfied with the facts presented before us on a public interest litigation filed by the People's Union for Civil Liberties and the Committee for Protection of Democratic Rights, our bench ordered an inquiry using the Abu Saima case and two others as sample cases. The responsibility for putting this inquiry report together was entrusted to a principal judge, Justice Agyar. His task was to prepare a report on the deaths of these persons in encounter involving Mumbai police. He conducted the inquiry in a remarkable way, and through incisive questioning and analysis, found many loopholes with these so-called encounters. He found that the police version of the encounters was identical in almost all 135 cases. His analysis threw up a template or a pattern, and the three sample cases fell exactly within that template, which go somewhat like this. A suspected gangster or a criminal is on the run. The police coincidentally happen to accost the suspect on the streets, or know beforehand that the suspect will be in certain place at a certain time. The suspect, who is armed with fancy weapons, attacks or opens fire against the police. The police, equipped with low quality guns, fire back in self-defense, and the suspect is killed or is grievously injured on vital parts, body parts, and dies before reaching hospital. In such incidents, rarely are any police personnel injured themselves, and often there is not enough foolproof evidence to show that the suspect in question actually opened fire or targeted the police. In his inquiry report, Justice Agyar said that the police versions of the encounters were inconsistent with the forensic evidence and panchanamas. He also found that police depositions arguing that the killings were in self-defense were not convincing. Justice Agyar's report, which demonstrated how the template applied to all the cases, was challenged by the police. Those cases involved well-known and powerful policemen who acquired idol status and are frequently deified, including Sachin Waze, once a key member of the Mumbai Encounter Squad, who was suspended for 17 years after his arrest in a custodial death case. Everyone knows what happened afterwards, so I won't go into that. To return to Justice Agyar's report, it went before a different bench than the one I was on, which had originally directed the probe. Justice Agyar has mentioned this fact in his book. I must disclose in all honesty that the then Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court had called me to his chamber and asked me if I wanted to take up this matter. I had said it was the Chief Justice's prerogative to place the matter before our bench or someone else, and it went to another bench. That bench relied upon a principle derived from the 1978 Supreme Court case of UP versus Sadhur Singh and others, that when the direct evidence of eyewitness is available, inconsistencies relating to the distance from which gunshots were fired between the evidence of medical experts and eyewitnesses is of no significance. But in the Mumbai police encounter cases, the eyewitnesses were the persons who shot the suspect dead. So how could they be considered independent witnesses in the first place? Justice Agyar correctly says that witnesses may lie, but documents do not. Sadly, his fine report was rejected by the division bench, which said that there was nothing suspicious about the encounters. The matter reached the Supreme Court in PUCL versus State of Maharashtra, which took 10 years to conclude. In 2014, the court laid down 16 requirements to be followed in encounter cases. But these requirements or principles remain merely on paper and are routinely violated with impunity. While there are serious questions on the legal validity of encounter cases, there are clearly concerns on the weakening of rule of law. What is more worrisome is that a lot of people holding positions in power have not only not condemned such incidents, but have sort of supported these incidents. They are giving a kind of legitimacy to these encounters and encouraging their wider acceptability in society, saying that, so what if the person was killed? He should have been killed. He deserves to be killed. You will agree with me that an encounter is not a procedure established by law. Killing by the police is a killing. In a country governed by the rule of law, there is no place for encounters. We have heard of many such cases recently. In Hyderabad, 4 men accused of rape and murder who were already under arrest were shot dead and killed in an alleged encounter. Reports on the proceedings of the Justice Shirpur Committee, whose report is yet to come out, reveal the chilling lies told by the police. Elsewhere in the Hindi heartland, a notorious gangster, Vikas Dubey, was also killed in an encounter by the Uttar Pradesh police. His house containing evidence, very, very valuable evidence, against some politicians and the bureaucrats, etc. Conveniently, whole house was burned down. Indeed, encounters which were considered unique to Mumbai police seem to have become a preferred mode of policing in UP. With the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath saying that if anyone poses a problem or makes life difficult, unko thok denge. Reports suggest that over 800 people have been killed in such encounters lately. Other related problems of policing also persist, such as custodial deaths, such as that of Jairaj and Benix, father and son, shop owners in a town near Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu, arrested for allegedly violating lockdown rules of shutting shops early. Encounter killings unravel so many moral and ethical dilemmas that many of us struggle to wrap our heads around. Superficially, the question is along the lines of, was the killing justified, or should it be classified as a custodial death, or was due revenge and retribution taken for the crime the suspects are believed to have committed, and without having proven it in a court of law. In this very bleak situation, many questions emerge. Surely this was not the police conceived by our founders. Surely the police are not operating within the bounds of democratic and constitutional principles. Can the police be freed from the shackles of political control? Can the ordinary citizen dream of a sensitive and caring police force that genuinely cares for their real well-being and protection? Ladies and gentlemen, however, the fundamental concern is in fact about the collective collapse of people's faith in the criminal justice system and due process of law, of which the police, the prosecutors, institutions like the National Human Rights Commission and the courts are all equal in part. With the executive's direct involvement in many cases, the judiciary is perfectly positioned to show leadership. But courts must recognize that reforms are needed all over the country. If criminal justice and policing reform is a genuine goal, we must pay heed to the glaring gaps that exist and work towards repairing them. The fact that Justice Agyar's report, which his book reminds us of still holds relevance today, is something we should pay close attention to. For this, I really thank him, congratulate him once again on a praiseworthy career and judicial life well lived. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, Justice Shah. And now, for the moment that we have been waiting for, I would request Rima to unmute everyone, and I will now invite our guests and our keynote speaker and the author to launch the book. So Cardinal Gracious, Justice Variava, Justice Shah, if you can hold up the copies of Justice Aloysius' book, and everyone, you can, in a virtual world, we miss that clapping sound. So can you please unmute and clap? Yeah. Yeah, if you can hold it up, I can take a screenshot. Yes, one more. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, all of you, for your wonderful words. And I'm quite aware that Cardinal has another appointment, so he might have to leave. But I will now invite Mr. Gauri Shankar Natesan from New Gen Knowledge Works, which is the contracting affiliate of Thomson Reuters India Legal, to say a few words.
Thank you, Elsa. And yeah, I'll keep it short. I know that, time, we've kind of exceeded time already. So His Eminence Oswald Cardinal Gracious, Archbishop of Bombay, Honorable Justice S.N. Variava, former Judge, Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice A.P. Shah, former Chief Justice, Delhi High Court. Honorable Justice Ms. Roshan Dalvi, former Judge, Bombay High Court. Our esteemed author, Honorable Justice Agyar, former Judge, Bombay High Court. Ms. Elsa Marie, dignitaries and others present in this call. A very good evening to you. This book, On and Off the Bench, is a special occasion for Thomson Reuters. And today, when I see this book being released, my memories actually go back to the initial discussions that we had with Justice Agyar and Justice Roshan Dalvi, and a few months back. At that time, it was a concept. And it's indeed a pleasure to see the completed book being released at an August gathering like this. So, when you think back over the months and the effort it's taken to put this together, both by the author, Justice Agyar, and on our side, I think it was well worth the time. It was good to hear Justice Shah, Justice Variava and others talk about Justice Agyar and, what he has put into the book. So I won't go into that. I did have, a section on that, but I won't, because I think it's been covered well enough. But what I would like to say is that I think this book makes excellent reading. I actually skimmed through it because I got the book the day before and I skimmed through it. I wouldn't say that, I've read it word for word, but it does make excellent reading. And I'm sure that, it'll be a great help across cross-section of the legal fraternity. And a few words about, Thomson Reuters in India. I think people know the brand. And Newgen has been the affiliate for Thomson Reuters for the last 5 years, and we've been publishing all their books for them. So each book that we do, we've probably published about 200 books in the last 5 years, but each book that we do is very important to us. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the author and the team at Newgen for their collaboration and the excellent production of this book, On and Off the Bench. It's not an easy thing to do. I know that, my team at Newgen would have put a lot of pressure on you, Justice Agyar, and vice versa. It's never an easy journey to get a book out in time and well. So I would thank you as well as the team here for this. And on behalf of the publishers, I would like to thank the dignitaries for taking the time today to launch this book. I'm sure the book will do well. And on our part, we'll make sure that, we do whatever we need to do to make it a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Gauri, for those words. And yes, it is very hard to get a book out for the author, as well as, to have a publisher that believes in the author. So thank you for that. And I hope we have many more books like that coming out.
We have the next one with Justice Roshan Dalvi coming up.
Yes, we look forward to that too. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite the man of the day, Justice Aloysius Agyar, to give the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you. The celebrated English bard, William Shakespeare, has described the world as a stage and the men and women on it merely players. He's also ascribed with the aphorism, all's well that ends well. This evening's event cannot end well without a word of appreciation of all those who have played a part in the production of the book and contributed to the success of this virtual event. Firstly, I thank the good Lord for having protected and rescued me from the clutches of a deadly virus, coronavirus, so that I could complete putting together this book despite the interruption. My grateful thanks to His Eminence, Cardinal Oswald Gracious, for writing the foreword to the book and delivering the keynote address. Thank you, Cardinal Oswald. The foreword to my book is also written by Justice S.N. Variava, former judge of the Supreme Court of India. Thank you, Brother Justice Variava, for writing the foreword and for your insightful comments in the book. My book contains chapters on the Mumbai police encounter killings and on section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. It was the Bombay High Court, headed by Justice A.P. Shah, that assigned the inquiry into the police encounter case to me when I was principal judge of the City Civil and Sessions Court. It was the bench of the Delhi High Court, headed by Justice A.P. Shah, the then Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, that delivered the judgment on Section 377 of the IPC, decriminalizing homosexuality. Thank you, Brother Justice Shah, for speaking to us and enlightening us on these two hotly debated subjects. Thank you also for launching the book along with Cardinal Gracious and Brother Justice Variava. This vote of thanks would not be complete without the word or mention of the persons who have been closely associated with me in the production and publication of the book and in organizing this virtual launch of the book. Thank you, Sister Roshan Dalvi, for being with me every step of the way in finding a good publisher for the book and in organizing the launch of the book. Thank you. My special thanks to the publishers, Thomson Reuters, for a great job done in the production and publication of the book and for hosting this launch of the book. The moderator and compere of this launch event, Ms. Elsa Marie de Silva, is the founder of the Red.com Foundation, an NGO with international reach. Thank you, Elsa, for so ably conducting the proceedings. I would be committing an unforgivable mistake if I did not acknowledge the contribution of the persons closest to me, my wife Glory, and daughters Melita, Angelique, and Meryl, who have in a variety of ways contributed to the writing and production of the book and in launching the book. Incidentally, today happens to be the birthday of my wife's mother, Aggie Alvarez, who passed away some years ago. This is one more reason why I chose to have the book released on this day. Finally, a big thank you to all you lovely people who have joined us in the launch of the book. Thank you, good night, and God bless.
Thank you. And may I request everyone to switch on their videos so that we can take a group picture. If it was in person, we would have taken a picture as well. So we're just living in a digital world and we have to make do. So I'm going to request everyone, please switch on your video. And even if we, Rima, if you can unmute everyone, give another round of applause, because 35 years in the making is a huge effort. So thank you, Justice Aguiar, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to take some screenshots now. Smile, big smiles, everyone. Okay, and now because it's Republic Day, as well as to end this proceedings, we are going to play the national anthem. So may I request everyone to stand, and Rima, can you please share the national anthem?
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to keep the link open for a few minutes in case you want to, just say anything to Justice Agyar.
And hearty congratulations, Brother Judge Agyar, and wishing you very best for the next sequel.
No.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, hello. It is. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.